Florida Man vs. Hogzilla is a fucking spinal tap of comic books. It takes the ambiguously wild concept that is the Florida Man and turns it to 11.
As I suspected, 32 flavors.
Wells first venturing towards the outside of mainstream comic scene, not just like outside the big two, Marvel and DC, outside of Image, Titan, IDW, all that, but more so particularly the crowdfunding scene, Kickstarter, Indiegogo. I caught Mike Barron. I knew who Mike Barron was. I recognized him. I saw he was on a YouTube stream. I can't remember which one it was way back in the day, but I saw he was promoting the Florida Man comic. I'm like, oh, hey, Florida Man? Really? That's a comic book? And this pitch for it was, of course, it sold me. I was like, okay, the timing couldn't be any more ideal considering I was pretty much checking the updates on my phone all the time for the very latest Florida Man happening in what was going down in the southern states. So backing it was pretty much a no-brainer.
This is where the law stops, and I start.
Sometime later in life, I got the book and I thought it was pretty good. I can't say that I was exactly over the moon about it, but I did enjoy it. I went back to it a few times and there were aspects to it that I loved, particularly the lead character, Gary Duba. I felt like there was a good foundation there and I was interested to see if the story would pick up again. And needless to say, it did a few years later in the vein of Florida Man vs. Hogzilla, or some people are calling it Florida Man 2. We pick up sometime after the events of the first Florida Man comic, and Gary is continuing his tradition of doing wild shit for money, so him and Crystal can basically just kind of keep on living. Every little job Gary takes, whether it's from a sketchy lawyer or a rando he does random deals with, comes with a side order of mayhem and tomfoolery, as what one would expect from reading a comic of this title and stature. Now, that's not to downplay Gary's wife, Crystal, who is quite the Florida woman herself, as she has time for debauchery and fuckadoo on her usual Thursday morning. Oh, did I forget to mention she is also a female pro wrestler known as the Black Dildo? As these Floridians are getting by through their jumbled but fun mess of a life, an impeding threat marches through the town, causing panic and concern. Oblivious to the panic widening around the area, of course, a few authoritative faces bring the news of said threat to Gary's attention, with of course a little compensation for his wondrous deeds. Provide a hefty amount of dough, and the Florida Man will do anything to collect. Now, throughout the course of this adventure, we get lots of laughs, some more subtle, others a bit on the nose, and characters whom, despite not having the brightest of minds, still have quite a bit of a warm heart to them. There's still a little bit of a lovability to them. It's not like this, bad character you gotta empathize with who are really just bad. These are people just not the brightest minds. And the dialogue sounds Florida-esque as accented tones are used, and the language has a very southern flair to it with aw and gonna and I'm gonna, stuff like that. The action is fun, fast, and shamelessly over the top, a la something that wouldn't have been out of place on like an 80s canon film. Now, can you imagine that? If this movie came out during the heyday of canon films, I would have been all over the shit being adapted during the canon age, because they would have taken this concept and make it even more mayhemic. I would have welcomed that, especially during a time where all the movies were about being as chaotic as possible. And while speaking of films, while we're on the subject, there are more or less obvious nods to classic flicks like Jaws and Kill Bill for the eagle-eyed viewers. This is not meant to be some emotionally deep story that needs to bring you down and leave you questioning your life. No. We don't work that way here, man. We're here to have a damn good time. And Florida Man 2 is just that. It's a to-the-point bulldozer that wants you to feel good, laugh, cry, shit your pants over all the hysteria the reader you are witnessing. No, don't do the fourth one. Seriously, don't shit your pants, but you catch my drift. The biggest improvements from this comic compared to the previous volume are two things. One, the humor. There was some pretty good chuckles out of the first volume, but number two is a comic you don't read in a library. Full stop. As random shit will pop up and you will burst laughing from this one, wiser maniacs. 2. The consistency of the art. It's one penciler, one inker, one letterer, and I for one definitely appreciate the consistency as it makes the story flow a lot better rather than jumping to different styles within the same setting. It's one thing that feels like a bit of like a flashback thing, but this is pretty much an all current day situation. This isn't about going to the past or being in a dream and hallucination. This is one setting. So I do appreciate that. And I don't really have any major critiques this go around. This is like, I don't know, there's like things you could really nitpick at. I'm gonna go with one thing, and I wish there was a third fight between Gary and the Beast. I'll put it that way. So yeah, that would be probably about it for me. That's my one thing. I'm just like, I wish they had that one extra fight. Now, I will say, though, the execution of the fights between Gary and the Beast are very well drawn and well told, but I would like a little bit more struggle from Gary to really make his win truly feel victorious. And above all of that, though, if Florida Man Volume 1 was about a 7.3, this one gets a bit of a big upgrade at 8.1. So if you miss out on this comic book during the campaign, well, I forgive you. We can't all be perfect, but take your ass to the website. Go buy this comic book. You'll get your copy shipped after the original backers get their copies. You could be a good boy. Read this thing like a good bastard. Thank you for watching this video, and you lay down your souls to the gods rock and roll.